When the dead rise and civilization collapses, where's the safest place to be? Most people would say a military base. Makes sense, right? Walls, weapons, trained soldiers, stockpiles of supplies, and people who know how to fight. It's the ultimate fortress, the perfect survival location. At least, that's what everyone thinks. Welcome to Survival Theorem, where we analyze survival scenarios with logic, not assumptions. Today, we're breaking down whether military bases are actually the safe havens everyone imagines, or if they're just well-armed death traps. Because when you really examine the reality of military base survival, the answer might surprise you. Let's find out. Let's start with why military bases look so appealing, because on paper, they have some serious advantages that no other location can match. First and most obvious, weapons. Military bases are arsenals. We're talking rifles, handguns, ammunition by the thousands of rounds, grenades, heavy machine guns, potentially even armored vehicles and artillery. You're not fighting zombies with baseball bats and kitchen knives. You've got actual firepower, the kind of weaponry designed to neutralize threats efficiently and from distance. That's a massive tactical advantage. Second, fortifications. Military bases are designed for defense. Perimeter fences, often multiple layers of them. Guard towers with elevated positions and clear sight lines. Reinforced gates that can withstand vehicle impacts. Concrete barriers. Some bases even have walls. These aren't suburban homes with flimsy doors and windows. These are structures built to keep hostile forces out. If anything's going to hold against a zombie horde, it's military-grade fortifications. Third, trained personnel. If you're on a military base when the outbreak starts, you're surrounded by soldiers, people trained in combat, tactics, discipline, and chain of command. They know how to follow orders, work as a unit, and stay calm under pressure. They've run drills for crisis situations. Compare that to a random group of civilians panicking in a shopping mall, and the difference is night and day. Training and discipline matter enormously in survival scenarios. Fourth, organization and hierarchy. Military bases have established command structures. Officers give orders. Enlisted personnel follow them. There's no debate about who's in charge or what the plan is. Decisions get made quickly and executed efficiently. That kind of organization prevents the chaos and infighting that destroys civilian survivor groups. Fifth, supplies and infrastructure. Military bases stockpile everything. Food rations designed to last years. Medical supplies and field hospitals. Fuel reserves. Water storage and purification systems. Generators and backup power. Communication equipment. Vehicles and repair facilities. Everything you need to sustain a population is already there, organized and inventoried. You're not scavenging, you're utilizing existing logistics networks. Sixth, strategic positioning. Most military bases are located away from major population centers for security reasons. That means lower density of zombies in the immediate area. You're not surrounded by millions of infected like you would be in a city. You've got breathing room. Seventh, self-sufficiency. Large military bases often have their own water wells, power generation, sewage treatment, and even agricultural areas or livestock. They're designed to operate independently without relying on civilian infrastructure. When the power grid fails and the water stops running in cities, military bases keep functioning. And finally, defensible choke points. Bases are designed with controlled entry and exit points, single roads leading in, gates that funnel traffic. You can create killing zones where zombies have to approach through narrow corridors while you rain fire down from elevated positions. It's tactical heaven. Put all of that together, and a military base sounds like the absolute best place to be during a zombie apocalypse. Safety, firepower, organization, supplies, and trained fighters. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out, a lot. Because every advantage I just listed comes with a dark side that could get you killed. Let's break down the fatal flaws. Problem number one. Everyone knows military bases are valuable targets. You're not the only person who thought a military base would be safe. When the outbreak hits, thousands of civilians will try to reach the nearest base. Desperate people, terrified families, looters looking for weapons and supplies. The gates will be mobbed within hours. Now put yourself in the commander's position. You've got limited space, limited supplies, and limited personnel. Do you let everyone in? If you do, you're overwhelmed instantly. Resources get depleted. Order breaks down. You can't maintain security with thousands of panicked civilians flooding the base. So you don't let them in. You close the gates. You post guards with orders to turn people away. And when desperate people won't leave, when they try to force their way in, you have to make impossible decisions. Do you fire on civilians? Do you let them breach the perimeter and compromise security? Either choice is catastrophic. Those rejected civilians don't just leave. They camp outside the fence. They become a siege population. And when they start getting infected, when they start turning, now you've got thousands of zombies directly outside your walls. The very people you turned away for safety reasons become the horde that destroys you. And here's the worst scenario. Some of those civilians get in, maybe early on before lockdown. Maybe they sneak in. Maybe they're family of base personnel, and some of them are bitten. Some of them are infected. They don't tell anyone because they're terrified, or they're in denial, or they think they'll be okay. Then they turn. Inside the base, inside your supposedly secure perimeter. Now you've got an internal outbreak, and that's exponentially more dangerous than zombies outside the fence. Problem number 2. Military bases are high-value targets for more than just civilians. Other military units will want to consolidate forces and supplies. That sounds good until you realize it's also competition for resources and command authority. 2 different units, 2 different commanders, conflicting orders. That's a recipe for internal conflict. Hostile nations or organizations might see the collapse as an opportunity. If the government falls, military bases become targets for takeover. You could be defending against foreign combatants or domestic insurgents while simultaneously dealing with zombies. And then there are the desperate survivors who aren't asking nicely. Armed gangs, organized raiders, people who will attack a military base not to seek refuge, but to take it by force and claim the weapons and supplies for themselves. You're not just fighting zombies. You're fighting everyone who wants what you have. Problem number 3. Nuclear and biological weapons facilities. Some military bases house weapons of mass destruction or biological research laboratories. If protocols break down during the chaos of the outbreak, if security fails, if containment is breached, you could be dealing with radiation leaks or biological contamination on top of the zombie threat. Even if you're not at one of those bases, other bases that house those materials might fail. Fallout could spread. Contamination could reach you. The collapse of military infrastructure globally creates threats far beyond just zombies. Problem number 4. Chain of command collapse. You know what happens when the government falls? The military chain of command breaks. Officers lose contact with higher command. Orders stop coming. Communication networks fail. Suddenly, no one knows who's actually in charge at the national level, or if there even is a national level anymore. Local commanders have to make decisions independently. Some will make good calls, others won't. Some will try to maintain order and protect survivors. Others will become warlords, using military resources for personal power. And what about the soldiers themselves? They're people with families. When they realize their loved ones are dying or turning, when they can't reach them, when they have to choose between duty and family, discipline breaks down. Desertions happen. People go AWOL trying to reach their families. Your trained fighting force starts dissolving. You might start with 500 soldiers on base. Within a week, you're down to 200 as people abandon their posts. Within a month, maybe 50 remain. Your defensive capability collapses not because of zombies, but because of human nature. Problem number 5. Resource consumption. Military bases might have stockpiles, but they're designed to supply a specific number of personnel for a specific duration. If you've taken in civilians, if you've consolidated with other units, your population has exploded. Suddenly you're feeding thousands instead of hundreds. The supplies run out faster than planned. Rationing becomes necessary. Tensions rise. People start hoarding or stealing. The order and discipline that made the base functional starts cracking under resource pressure. And here's the critical point. Military bases aren't self-sustaining indefinitely. Yes, They have supplies, but those supplies are finite. The food doesn't regenerate. When the stored rations are gone, where does your food come from? Some large bases have farmland or greenhouses, but can you grow enough to feed 1,000 people? Do you have seeds? Do you have people with agricultural knowledge? Soldiers are trained to fight, not farm. You might have all the weapons in the world, but that doesn't help when you're starving. Water might be okay if you have wells or natural sources, but fuel runs out. Generators need diesel or gasoline, and eventually your reserves are depleted. Then you lose power, refrigeration, lighting, and communication. Problem number 6, you're not mobile. A military base is a fixed position. If the situation deteriorates, if the zombie horde grows too large, if raiders become too aggressive, you can't just pick up and move. You're committed to defending that location. Compare that to a small, mobile group that can relocate when threats emerge. They have flexibility. You don't. You're locked into a defensive siege mentality, and sieges end badly when you can't resupply or escape. What if the horde surrounding your base grows to tens of thousands? What if they never leave? You're trapped. Your fortress becomes your prison. Eventually, supplies run out, morale collapses, and people start dying. But you can't leave because the moment you open the gates, the horde pours in. Problem number 7. Psychological factors. Living on a military base under siege is psychologically devastating. You're in a constant state of alert. Zombies at the fence, threats from outside, rationing food, watching people die. The stress never ends. Suicide rates go up. People snap. Mental health deteriorates. And the military culture of toughness and not showing weakness makes it worse. Soldiers are taught to suppress emotions, to push through. But everyone has a breaking point. Post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety, paranoia. These become as much of a threat as the zombies. A soldier who snaps and starts shooting fellow base personnel is just as deadly as an external attack. Problem number 8, the target on your back. Being on a military base makes you a target for anyone who sees military power as a threat or an asset. If a hostile group wants to establish dominance in the region, they'll try to take out the military base first. You become a magnet for conflict. Civilians might resent you for having resources they don't have. Other survivor groups might see you as oppressors or competition. You're not just defending against zombies. You're defending against everyone who wants what you have or sees you as an enemy. Let's talk about the realistic timeline of what actually happens on a military base during a zombie apocalypse. Days 1 through 7, the initial response phase. The base goes into lockdown. Gates close. Perimeters are reinforced. Soldiers are mobilized. Civilians are either let in or turned away. Communication is still functional, at least partially. Orders are coming from higher command. You're getting reports about the outbreak spreading. There's a plan, or at least the illusion of one. Supplies are abundant. Morale is okay. People think this is temporary, that help is coming, that the government will handle it. Survival rating, 8 out of 10. It's actually not bad yet. Weeks 2 through 4, the deterioration phase. Communication with higher command becomes sporadic, then stops entirely. Orders aren't coming anymore. Local commanders are making decisions independently. Desertions start as soldiers realize their families are in danger. The civilian population outside the gates has swelled, and many of them are turning. The horde is growing. Supply runs outside the base are necessary but increasingly dangerous. Casualties start mounting. Morale is dropping. People are realizing this isn't temporary. Survival rating, 6 out of 10. It's manageable, but getting worse. Months 2 through 3, the crisis phase. Supplies are running low. Rationing is strict. Fuel reserves are depleted. Generators are failing. Power is intermittent. Internal conflicts emerge over leadership and resource distribution. The zombie horde outside is massive, thousands of them. Leaving isn't an option. The base is under siege. Disease spreads due to overcrowding and stress. People are dying from illness, injuries, and suicide. The military discipline that held things together is fracturing. Survival rating, 4 out of 10. You're barely holding on. Months 4 through 6, the collapse phase. Most of the supplies are gone. People are starving. No fuel means no vehicles, no generators, no power. You're living in a fortified camp with no modern amenities. The horde outside hasn't left. It's grown. Tens of thousands now. Any attempt to leave is suicidal. Internal factions have formed, violent conflicts over the remaining resources. The chain of command has completely broken down. It's survival of the fittest. Most people are dead, either from starvation, disease, violence, or attempting to escape. Survival rating, 1 out of 10. The base is no longer functioning. It's a tomb. Beyond 6 months? If you're still on the base, you're either dead or you're one of the few who managed to escape into the wasteland. The base itself is overrun or abandoned. It's no longer a viable survival location. That's the realistic trajectory. Not years of safety. Months, at best, before everything falls apart. So how does a military base compare to other survival locations? Military base versus shopping mall. The base has better security, better weapons, better training. The mall has more civilian supplies and less of a target on its back. But both suffer from the same core problem. They're not sustainable long-term. The base lasts longer due to better organization, but it still ends in collapse. Advantage: base, but only slightly. Military base versus prison. Prisons have similar fortifications, but fewer supplies and no weapons initially. However, prisons have smaller populations typically, which means slower resource depletion. And prisons don't have the same high-value target problem. People aren't mobbing prisons the way they mob military bases. It's actually closer than you'd think. Slight advantage: base, but not by much. Military base versus rural farmhouse. The farmhouse has almost nothing initially. No weapons stockpile, minimal supplies, no fortifications. But it has land, water, isolation, and sustainability. You can grow food. You can raise animals. You're not under siege. Long-term, the farmhouse wins because it's sustainable. The base isn't. Advantage: farmhouse for long-term survival. Military base versus bunker. A private underground bunker has isolation, supplies, and security without the high-value target problem. No one knows it's there. No mobs trying to get in. No siege. It's self-contained. The base has more space and resources initially, but the bunker is infinitely more secure and hidden. Advantage: bunker. Military base versus remote island. The island has natural barriers. Zombies can't swim. You're isolated. If you can reach an island with fresh water and arable land, you're safer than on any military base. Advantage: island, assuming you can get there. The military base looks good compared to civilian locations like malls or apartments, but it loses to sustainable, isolated options. The base's strengths are short-term, its weaknesses are long-term. So if you find yourself on a military base when the apocalypse starts, here's your actual survival strategy. Stay initially. If you're already on base when it happens, don't leave immediately. Use the first few weeks to assess the situation, gather intelligence, and prepare. The base is safer than the outside world during the initial chaos. Secure a personal stockpile. Ration your own supplies separately from the communal stores. Hide food, water, medicine, and weapons in a secure location only you know about. When communal supplies run out, this stash keeps you alive. Build relationships carefully. Identify competent, trustworthy people. Form a small group of 5 to 10 individuals who you trust in a crisis. Not the whole base, just a core team. You'll need them for the next phase. Monitor the situation constantly. Watch for signs of collapse, desertions increasing, supply levels dropping, commanders making poor decisions. Infighting. When you see the base deteriorating, it's time to prepare for Phase 2. Plan your escape. Identify exit routes. Gather maps. Locate vehicles and fuel. Stock a vehicle with supplies. Have a destination in mind, somewhere rural, isolated, with water and land. A place you can actually sustain yourselves long-term. Leave before the collapse. Don't wait until everything falls apart. Don't wait until you're starving and desperate. When you see the base is doomed, when supplies are at 25% and morale is collapsing, you go. Take your core group, your supplies, and you disappear in the middle of the night. You're not deserting. You're surviving. Head for sustainability. Get to that rural location. Find land, water, isolation. Start building a real, sustainable survival situation. Growing food, raising animals, creating a self-sufficient life. That's how you survive long-term. not by staying in a fortress that's slowly dying. The military base is a stepping stone, not a destination. Use it, but don't die for it. Best case scenario? You're on a small remote military outpost, not a major base. Minimal personnel, maybe 50 to 100 people. Far from population centers. You've got supplies, weapons, and fortifications, but you're not a high-value target. No mobs of civilians show up. Your group is disciplined and cohesive. You use the outpost as a base of operations to transition into sustainable agriculture and resource gathering. You establish a small, functional community that survives long-term. In that scenario, survival is possible. Rating, 7 out of 10. Worst case scenario? You're on a major base near a city. Fort Bragg, Fort Hood, one of the big ones. When the outbreak hits, tens of thousands of civilians mob the gates. The commander panics and either lets too many in, causing chaos, or shoots civilians, causing moral collapse among troops. Massive desertions. Infected individuals get inside. Internal outbreak. Fighting between factions. The horde outside grows to hundreds of thousands. Supplies run out? No escape possible. Everyone dies or turns. You're dead within a month. Rating, 1 out of 10. So here's the final verdict on military base survival. Survival rating, 6 out of 10. The pros: superior weapons and ammunition, military-grade fortifications, trained soldiers with discipline, organized command structure, abundant supplies initially, strategic positioning away from major population centers, and potential for self-sufficiency with the right infrastructure. The cons: high-value target that attracts everyone, including hostile forces, massive civilian mobs overwhelming the base, internal outbreaks from infected individuals getting inside, chain of command collapse when government falls, resource depletion with increased population, no mobility once you're under siege, psychological stress leading to breakdowns, and no long-term sustainability for large populations. The bottom line: a military base is better than most civilian options in the short term, but it's not a long-term solution. It buys you time, safety, and resources for weeks to months, but eventually, the same problems that destroy every other fixed location will destroy the base too. Overcrowding, resource depletion, siege mentality, and eventual collapse. The smart play is to use the military base as a temporary refuge and supply depot. Gather what you need, form a small, capable group, learn what you can, and then transition to a sustainable, isolated location before the base falls apart. Don't commit to defending a base that can't be held indefinitely. The military base isn't the ultimate fortress Hollywood makes it out to be. It's a well-armed, organized starting point, nothing more. And if you treat it as your final destination, you'll die there when the supplies run out and the walls finally fail. So are military bases good in a zombie apocalypse? For a while, yes. Better than most options initially. But long-term? No. They're just another type of trap, albeit a better equipped one. The survivors won't be the ones who stayed and fought to the end. They'll be the ones who used the base wisely and left when the time was right. That's the survival theorem on military bases. They're not the safe havens you think they are. They're temporary strongholds with expiration dates. Use them. Don't die for them. Subscribe for more tactical survival analysis. Next time, we're analyzing whether prisons are actually better fortresses than military bases, and whether criminals make better survivors than soldiers. We're also continuing our celebrity survival series. Would The Rock survive? Would Elon Musk's billions help him? Find out. Stay sharp, stay logical, and remember, the best fortress is the one you can sustain, not the one with the biggest guns. Stay alive.